This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system. Hello and welcome to the Latics Football Phone-In with me, Matt Dean. Where is he? See how the intro went really smooth then, because Dave's not here, annoying me, putting me off. But he is here.
Whoa!
Dave Rashid, have you moved to Turkey and married a Turkish waiter already?
Yeah,
like
I'm this.
Like
Deirdre. Deirdre Rashid.
Could you have found somewhere a bit darker, Dave?
Sorry, guys. Just 1 second.
Listen, there's no point being sexy, Dave, if nobody can see how sexy you are. You've got a suntan now and everything.
It's just so loud. It's just so loud.
Don't go back into the disco.
I'm not going to go back into the disco. What if I just lay on the pier like this?
Well, that's nice.
Like
That's nice. That bit of lighting on the side of your face. Then that was good, Dave.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that, sexy Dave.
Sexy Dave by the fair.
Good evening, James. Also, good evening or good day to Chris in Melbourne. I like people watching from around the world. I was watching Newcastle, but the wife cried as she watched you guys. All right, yeah. I see, yeah. Well, that's fair enough. Dave's made more than one wife cry over the years, haven't you? Not necessarily your own.
No, plenty of times. She cries every day. Every day.
Is she having a holiday from crying, though? Are you having a good time, Dave?
Well, she's crying now because I've had to leave her with about 8 children. Not mine, by the way, and my fellow waiters' children, Samir Rashid, who I've married. I'm only joking. No, I just thought I'd put a bit of a Turkish twang on the name to get rid of the sexy because you're not allowed to say sexy in Turkey. You're not allowed to say it because it can be quite offensive.
Right. Well, I do have a serious question here from Martin Barlow, Dave, just while we're on the subject of, serious stuff. It is, how is the Turkish beef paste?
There is a beef pate, but it's nowhere near a paste.
Right. But you have explored you've explored it since you've been there, have you?
Yeah, I've had bread, chips, and beef pate. That's about it. My palate of beef is nowhere near the level. No, to be fair, the food over here is amazing. In my 5-star/6 star, just buy me a coffee funded,
well,
all inclusive.
While you struggle to find your words because you've got too much tequila flowing through your veins, I'll tell you what wasn't 5-star yesterday, or all inclusive in terms of any kind of ability or talent, and that was the football match. I don't know if you watched it online at all, Dave, but it was absolutely bloody awful. It was turd. It was turd. It was the worst performance I've ever seen. Mark Shelton couldn't catch for bloody Antalyaspor. Never mind bloody Oldham Athletic, because I caught a bit of football over here, and I was there with some Turkish guys and Samir, my new husband, and he said they are the worst team I've ever seen. They're worse than Besiktas. But I was like, well, obviously because Besiktas are in the Super League of football, but they were all laughing at how bad it was. Yeah, we couldn't pass a turd last night, could we? It was so bad. So bad.
Definitely
right.
Not.
Let's bring a caller in, shall we? Let's bring a less frequent caller. We'll bring Tom in.
Hey.
Hi,
Hello.
Tom. You all right, mate?
You all right, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Hi, Dave.
Hello, mate.
It's been a funny week, Tom, because it started off on Saturday with the joy and jubilation of Rochdale away. Everything that was good. I mean, we conceded 3 goals, but it was a great game, great atmosphere, blah blah blah. And then on to Tuesday. So, what's your experience been over the last few days?
Well, I was there on Saturday with my dad. I tell you, I've never seen a derby so much added time, so much trouble, and so much drama through the whole game. I mean, we go 2 up. concede 2, and then we go 2 more up, and then we concede another one. Then there's 16 minutes, and the football overall was a miles better in performance as of late on Saturday, despite conceding 3 goals. I thought the performance overall was really good. I thought Lundstrom absolutely worked his socks off for the entire 90 minutes. I don't know, and I'm really starting to like that McGahey at the pivot, kind of giving the midfield a bit more freedom. And then last night it just seemed to just be a different team.
It just dissolved. Did you watch it last night, or did you go?
I watched the first half and got really frustrated. Me and my dad watched it the first half on the panorama streaming, and we got that frustrated. It was that poor. I mean, that second goal was just you don't even see that at Sunday League. There was that lad who Hallam Hope was chasing. He went down the wing, and every defender was ball watching. You watch the video back. Every defender ball watches. Not one of them looks in the shoulders to see where the attacker is. It's schoolboy stuff.
We've got a message here from Dave Holt. Last night's performance can be put in the current Hall of Shame, along with Harrogate, Altrincham, Southend, and 2 Bromleys. It was, and you know, the boos were audible at half time, and it was totally understandable because it was absolutely turgid.
Yeah, I mean, like I turned it back on for the last 10 minutes. I'm clearly glutton for punishment, and they scored a third, and it was just. I understand we had 10 men and whatever. I'm not backing them. I'm not trying to reinforce like why they were so bad. I understand they must have been shattered from Saturday. I mean, 100 minutes of football cannot be. I'm not backing it, but I'm saying it's unforgivable, that performance last night. I think it's unforgivable. I'm not saying that's not me backing up, saying giving them a bit of a freedom on that. They should be fit and they should be ready. But that was absolutely. That would mean they were bottom of the league, and we played worse than bottom of the league.
Look, I just want to jump in here, but the bottom of the league, it's a derby still in some ways for the File fans. They think it's the biggest game of the season. We were absolutely pawny last night. We were so bad.
Yeah.
Like every time, I've said it once. I'll say it again. Will Sutton is not a right back, and if it was Jordan Clark in that position, he'd be absolutely lambasted. But for some reason, everyone goes, "Oh, he's not a right back. He's a centre back."
Yeah.
Why are they playing him? He's
on
poor.
that, Dave. I get that. Jordan Clark was a senior professional, right? Who'd been played at high level, etc. If we start turning our back on and booing and getting and giving sticks to someone like was a young lad, so he's not. He's been hung out to dry. There's no doubt about that. He's not. Now, last night, this is where my major frustration. I stood with my brother and we were talking about this. When we went 2-0 down, we started the game terribly. We went 2-0 down. One cleared off the line. We were getting bookings because we were getting frustrated, right, from the captain, and Green got booked as well. What the manager, Mickey Mellon, all right, he's only been in the job for a week, but he could see what was going on. We were really struggling. He needed to change it. Norwood needed somebody up front with him. We were 2 goals down. For me, we should have gone through. He should have brought Shelton off because even after half an hour, because he was having a nightmare. It wasn't having any impact on the game. And he should have gone 3-5-2 is what he should have set up there. We need goals. Let's just go for it. Then Hogan got sent off. What did he do? He brought Hallam Hope off, put Josh Lundstrom on the right hand side of midfield, making him completely ineffective. Kept Shelton on the pitch. Now, the other substitution he made when he brought Tollett on. Completely ineffective. Now, I don't like singling out players, but both Tollett and Shelton shit out of tackles in midfield last night. And that against File they probably played last night as well as they played all last season because they got promoted last season and they probably played like that every week. Now, last night was their cup final, Latics and that big crowd and all that kind of stuff, and they were well up for it. And our lot were just not at it at all, and they didn't show up, and they didn't win their battles, and they were an embarrassment to the shirt last night. And what they showed us were that they are not the characters and the men that can handle being in the biggest club in the division. That's what they showed us last night. They've showed it us against Dagenham and Redbridge and Maidenhead and all these other teams who have won the personal battles, and that is not good enough. And so we've had, this is on our 3rd manager of the season now. It's on the players. They've got to come out against Altrincham on Saturday and show us that they're not a bunch of shithouses, because on Tuesday night, they were a bunch of shithouses.
Yeah, 100% agree.
But the thing is, like, if you saw Mellon after the game, he was absolutely broken, weren't he? I think he was absolutely in disbelief of what he saw. And I think that's the challenge he's got as a manager of Oldham Athletic. We put all that passion, pride, and performance into Rochdale, and then we completely the scales just completely imbalanced, and we implode against someone at the bottom of the league, as Tom just said.
Where have we seen that? So, Dave, where have we seen that look on his face before?
Unsworth, Sheridan, everywhere, they've seen it. But the problem is, he must look at it now and say he's got a 3-year deal now. Unsworth didn't have the year to sort it out, and I'm going to leave. I'm going to have to go in a minute, but I'm going to leave it with this point. The midfield has to be sorted, and a right back has to be sorted. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And and also play 2 up front, for goodness sake. It's not bloody hard, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's going a 4-1-4-1 away from home against the bottom of the league. You can't have 1 up front against the bottom of the league because it's just criminal.
Yeah,
it is, and it's shocking. It is shocking, but I'm sure Mellon may have the answers in the coming weeks. But we need to get it sorted rapid. We need signings. We need them now, and we need the board to back Mellon. And that's it. It's simple as that. Do you agree, Tom?
Yeah. I mean, it started off with Unsworth playing 1 up top with Chesterfield, and then Dorking, and then having 3 strikers on the bench. That's unforgivable. Against teams that you should be beating no matter what, like Dorking, why we played 1 striker and had 3 on the bench, it baffles me to the day. I know he's not a superb manager, but I think even a kid would be able to notice that 2 strikers and 2 on the bench to change the game would be the more beneficial than 1 and 3 on the bench. And then the last few games, as good as Norwood is as a calibre of a player, he's not a solo striker, and our wingers aren't clever enough to support him in the little 1-2 give and goes, because they're not. And Devine Green, okay, had a good game on Saturday, but he's been terrible as of late. I mean, he wasn't interested last night. I mean, none of the players were interested last night, but I mean, a couple of the Tuesday night games that have been recently where we've drawn, Devine Green just got no interest in the game. He gets lost and disappears. And I'm thinking, he's a player. I mean, was it against Dagenham when their left back was slow as a pig in shit? And Devine could have absolutely gone past him every time. And he was coming inside towards Nord. I'm thinking, you've got him for pace every time. And okay, his delivery of the cross isn't great, but 6 crosses, one of them's going to be able to be good at a professional level. I'm not being silly there, am I?
Well, look, last night, like I've already mentioned, a very strange decision.
Yeah,
he brought Hope off and brought McGahey on, and then he put Lundstrom out on the right hand side. Green then played on the left. He was playing sort of on the side where we were stood, and he's got no left foot for a delivery. So, like, he's got him there on the left-hand side. He can't put a ball in with his left foot. Kitchen, wasn't getting up and down as much as you'd like last night. His decision-making off the bench. Now, you could say that, well, he's not been in the job very long. He doesn't know the players that well. Surely he's been spending hours and hours and hours watching game after game after game and getting an understanding of the players, you would have thought.
Can I just say, Green can't put a ball in at the best of times with his right foot. Can he really? Let's have it right.
Well, I mean, he scores some goals for us. He's got some strengths, but we've said it before. He's not going to give you his A game every game, is it? And again, last night it was just, we are lacking in various positions. Right, Dave, I'm gonna kick you out. You're going to enjoy that time with that new Turkish waiter that you've met, and have a good time. Yeah.
Come back. Out.
Make sure you come back. Out. I thought you said you were going.
I'm gonna go.
Right.
Is Paddy Harwood on the call? Is he
no, he's not. No, he's not.
Oh, never mind. Right, okay. Another day, another
save
time.
It for another time. See you, Dave. Thanks, mate. Enjoy your holiday. Come back to me safe, won't you?
I will, always and forever.
All right. Bye, love. Bye.
Bye, Dave.
Right, okay. Let's bring in someone. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's bring Adrian in Shropshire. All right, Adrian.
How you doing, Matt?
Good. Before we start this bit, I just want to say, where is it? The presenter from Paul Marsh. Yeah. The presenters keep saying that we're hard to score against. can we put this to bed now? When was our last clean sheet? I think the last couple of games we've conceded 6 goals, so we've gone from having what looked like a fairly solid foundation where we were conceding the odd goal, but we weren't conceding many. That does, over the last couple of games, seem to have gone to pot, doesn't it? We seem to have lost our composure at the back. What was it that you wanted to say, Adrian?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things, Matt. It's not necessarily about the football, unfortunately. It's more kind of off the pitch issues. One's not that important. The other one, I think, is really important. I went to the Rochdale game. Absolutely loved it. Frenetic, but I absolutely loved it. Fantastic atmosphere. Loved the game. But unfortunately, I'll come on to this in a minute. I was at the end of the pitch where the real serious stuff went on. The on the pitch, the fighting and stuff, and I'll come on to that in a minute. But I tried to listen to the game last night. I tried to get on the Latics player. I've said this before, and that was so frustrating because I mean, it'd be easier to kind of tune into the home service in Nazi-occupied Germany on a wireless radio than it is to get on Latics player. You know, it's just get a hiss. It's just so frustrating, and the commentary it's woeful. It really is, and I think the club need to do something about it. I mean, we're never on the BBC, so I subscribe to that, listen to it, but I just try and listen to the feed coming from the people who are sitting next to Roy and the other guy. I mean, he's a kind of like club treasure, but it's just woeful, and they've got to do something about it. I only got into the game. I'll tell you what, Adrian,
what I enjoy more when I'm listening to the Latics commentary or commentary of Latics is when the commentators are a bit more sort of impartial, or they're looking at it. They're looking at that game in sort of in isolation, because and sometimes you listen to the away commentary and you get a better sort of perspective on the performance sometimes. I will back. Just sorry, Adrian. In the defense of the guys that do it, was it Alan who did the commentary last night? I don't know.
He's the guy who does that. Yeah. I'm not knocking them, Matt. They do a good job, but it's just not the qualities. It's just not. It's just frustrating, and you get no sense of how the game's
It's a hard job. I mean, it is a hard job doing commentary. It's not easy. These guys, it's not their main job. You know what I mean?
I know it's not their main job, but it's also really hard to get on it, Matt, and it fails a lot of the time, and it's frustrating, and you just get this bloody hissing on. That's one thing. But the more important thing, Matt, is I want to give a view of what went on at Rochdale. At the other end, I think Andy gave a view of what happened down his end, which I think was just sort of like young kind of Herbert's messing about. I was at the other end in the second half, and it was pretty horrible stuff actually. And I've got some views on it, and I think they need to be aired because there was a lot went on there, and I'll just run through it. I mean, there were guys. I was there with my wife. I think I saw you before the game. I was there with my wife, and there were people in there, and they were intent on having a confrontation. They weren't watching the football. The stewarding was poor, really poor. These guys are just contracted workers. There was incursions onto the pitch, and these guys, these so-called Oldham supporters. I mean, they weren't young. They were 50, 60-year-olds, and they were intent on a confrontation, and all they were looking for was, one reason to go onto the ground and into the other stand. It was really awful to see. And the things I've got to say is the stewarding was really poor. There was loads of alcohol in there. If you can have a pint, fair enough. I mean, you go to a rugby game, you can have a pint, but there was serious amounts of alcohol being drunk. The stewarding was really poor. But I'll come to the main point. The policing was pathetic. Across the pitch, there's a control room. Yeah, the police came on. These guys knew that they could overrun the stewards. They've been on before. They just wanted one trigger to get onto that field, and they were identifying people. There was a guy, he was making slit your throat signs, and this guy was in his late 50s. He wasn't watching the football. And let me come to the point now. And then you get the reporting. The thing that really annoys me, you get the reporting. There's an article in the Manchester Evening News, and they're saying, Greater Manchester Police are going to, investigating this. We're trying to identify these people. They could have just come in and take those guys out of the stadium, arrested them, Why didn't they? They didn't show up till it had all kicked off. And then you get these articles in the newspaper. It besmirches the club. What about the Rothwell family, the people who supported this club? It just really annoys me that this isn't accurately reported, and these people are allowed to do this. If you're on an aeroplane, you behave like that. If you're in a theatre, a cinema, why is it allowed in a football ground? These police, there were so many police there. They knew what was going on, so why didn't they have to remove these people? And the thing is, they know that they can get away with it. They'll do it again. And it is so annoying and so depressing, actually, man. And I just needed to put that side of the coin, because it's all right the club saying a statement about this happened and this happened, but it's a stewarding. It should be stewarded properly, and it should be policed properly. I mean, were these policemen, were they just looking for their overtime payments? What's going on?
I think the stewards in the ground, rather than the police. So when the police are on the streets outside, the club don't have to pay for that. When the police are in the ground, they have to pay for it. So they keep the police outside the ground to keep the cost down. They bring stewards in, who ultimately are getting paid whatever it is, £10 an hour or something. They're not going to get in the way and get their heads kicked in for, they're just going to let, so that's the issue. Yeah. The real people responsible are the people that are old enough to know better, the people you described who were hooligans from back in the day, from the 80s and 90s, who are now, like you said, late middle-aged men getting themselves into this kind of bother. It's sad, really, that their lives are so sad that they still need to seek this kind of adrenaline at their age. But that's on them. That's their choice. But yeah, I mean, I would be looking to remove people from the ground whose behaviour is beyond banter and he's antagonistic, or he's because we've got a comment here. Who was it? Someone said we can't how can you arrest someone before they've committed a crime? Well, you don't have to commit a crime to be removed from a premises. You don't have to be arrested, but you can be removed from a. So that in itself becomes antagonistic, and then there's a response. So look, I mean, I think as a fan base, we all have to challenge behaviour when we see it, but it's. No, my point is, a lot of this stuff happened. There was a control box opposite, and the police only came in after the event. They weren't hauling people out. Well, that's because they're outside the ground. That's because they're not in the ground at the time. Tom, what's your take on it?
I agree with what he's saying, and I just want to add on to the point of, in black and white, it's a football match. If you're going to cause, if your intent is of that nature, a violent nature, then why are you going to a football match to do that?
Exactly.
Why does that give you grounds to?
Well, because it's one of the few environments where you feel that you can get away with it, where it's there, where there's an opportunity to do it in the first place, and that's why. So I think that kind of echoes what Adrian's saying: is you have to take away that opportunity in the first place. I mean,
we have to. I mean, as a club and as supporters, I agree with you both. I think we do have to start saying this behaviour is not acceptable. That's not that's not the modern day football. We don't need violence in football. There's no need for it. I mean, why is our captain and two other players running over the fans to tell them to get off the pitch and calm down? Why is that happening? We should just enjoy that we've just beat our local derby. Why can't we just enjoy that? I'm all for goading away for the home or away fans. I'm all for giving it that. But if the fans are determining, people are not fans, because let's be fair, most of the people who cause the trouble on that day probably don't go to a lot of Oldham games. I'm not pointing fingers, but it's probably the case.
No, but it happens on the occasions where we have these huge turnouts where people are coming for that. I mean, I know full well that's the case. So look, it is what it is, but it's going to have a negative impact on the club, and it's going to have a negative impact on fans. And so, as fans who do go to all the games, or if you're a fan who goes home and away week in, week out, whatever, then it's going to affect you. So feel free to do something about it. Feel free to make complaints. Feel whatever it is that you feel you can do to try and challenge it, because we shouldn't all have to put up with it. No. The game going into that 16 minutes of injury time, Rochdale could have won the game in that injury time. There's lots of things that would have really gotten everybody's goal if that had happened. So look, it is what it is. So Yeah, here we've got one here from Oldham fan, arrest Mark Shelton. He wasn't the only player last night whose performance was criminal. But Adrian, if you got any comments on, did you watch last night's game or did you listen to it?
No, I didn't watch it. I tried to tune in, and I mean I couldn't get an angle on it, Matt. But I mean, from what I can gather, it was pretty woeful, which is not good, because Saturday was a great day. But I'd love to have contributed about the football, but I just found Saturday really kind of disheartening, really, to see that, and I don't want that. I really don't want that, and it was it's a bit upsetting.
Well, most people don't. Tom, thanks for getting in touch, mate.
No worries, mate.
All right, talk to you again.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Let's bring in Aaron. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, mate. Okay.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Did you go last night? Did I see you there last night? Didn't I?
No, you didn't see me. I sent you a message because I seen you on the stream.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was congratulating the goal scorer.
Congratulating, weren't you?
They're not Fleetwood filed. Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about the problem for me. I did some little bit of research today. So let me just grab it up because I made a note so I didn't get it wrong. When we play a midfield that contains Shelton and Sharon together, that's happened on 9 occasions this season where they've started. From the 9 games, we've won 1, drawn 3, and lost 5.
Right.
Now, we've played a total of 18 games. So the other 9 games where one or the other has started, but not as a 2, we've won 5 and drawn 4.
Right.
And we haven't lost any. So that midfield of them 2, either if it's together, it consistently doesn't get results. And if it's broken up, it consistently does get results.
Weren't the club looking for a data analyst recently? Because can you get in touch with the club and check? Because that's some information. With that kind of research, you should be definitely
exactly, mate. I don't waste my toilet time.
So that's really interesting. That, Aaron. I mean, it's not. We probably could have guessed that it would have been leaning in that direction, but to actually have it in the stats like that really does back it up, doesn't it? As a midfield duo. And that's what really got me last night when he moved Lundstrom out onto the right and put and left them 2 in the middle together. It was just, oh God, game over.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, I mean, I watched it last night from start to finish, and if you was a neutral watching that, you'd have said that we was a team bottom of the league.
Yeah.
But again, just going back to what I've said, when you look at the stats surrounding when them 2 start together, we've got 4 points from 9 games. Effectively, that is a bottom of the league side.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating when as soon as you see them 2 come out together. I don't know if the other players feel it or what, but it just doesn't work.
But to be honest with you, Aaron, I think that Shelton feels it. I think Shelton is playing. He's a player with no confidence. He's playing with no. He can't be as bad a footballer as he appears. I think a lot of it is his confidence. I think, like you said, I think it's just the feeling of everybody around. There's just this because the players know when they're in a team that they think is going to win the game, and when you're in a team that you think is going to struggle, they know that, and I think he knows. And it's all sort of like no, this is Mickey Mellon's job now, isn't it? To deal with that.
And that's one of the I don't want to say positive from last night because there wasn't any in the performance, but when you look at his interview, it's a completely different interview than what we would have got from David Unsworth. When you look at the end of his time, I feel like he would have tried to dress last night up as something that it wasn't, whereas Mickey Mellon, he didn't try and dress it up at all. He was like, look, we've let everyone down. And I feel like this is where he now earns his money. He's identified the problem, and he now earns his money as a manager with finding a solution from that problem, which hopefully that's something that he can do.
Craig here said that Shelton wasn't in the worst 5 last night. I thought they were all poor last night. I mean, Hogan has been pretty solid of late. McGahey obviously played those 2 games and played well. Like Mickey Mellon said in his interview, that he's come back from a long layoff, so it was a bit too much for him probably. But his passing when he came on was poor. Hobson was giving the ball away constantly, and everything was looking like hard work. It was just a poor performance all round, wasn't it? And it was a team that, like you said, that looked like a team down the bottom, playing with absolutely no confidence, no belief, no coordination, no synergy, no organisation, no leadership, no character. It was all these things. It was like going back to the first game against Southend. And so how then do we pinpoint what the real issue is then, or how does Mickey Mellon go about doing that when we're on our third manager of the season now, and the problems are persistent and they remain?
Yeah, but again, if you look at I just can't get over that. If you look at them stats, you've got to split them two players up. We can't start with both them players because the facts don't lie. When you start with them, with one, we've got a win rate of about 12%. When you start with one or the other, it's over 50%, and there can be no other. You can't argue with that because it's there. It's what's happened.
Well, last night we had missing in midfield. We have Dickinson missing. We've got Ward, Dan Ward still missing. McGahey was obviously not considered for that position. So we are still light in midfield, aren't we? Unfortunately, whether or not they'll bring anybody else in. I thought that taking Hope off was a poor decision because he's going to cover every blade of grass for you, and he's got a bit of a threat in him. So I thought that was a poor decision yesterday. I wasn't impressed with. I'm not gonna call for Mickey Mellon's head for the decisions after one game, but I was a bit confused by it. I thought I would have liked him to have been a bit braver in his second game in charge.
I think the thing is
nothing to lose.
The thing is as well is. Sometimes when we've watched these players for like either the new signings since the start of the season and from last season, so we kind of, as fans, I don't want to say we know more than him, but we know what we can and can't expect out of certain players, and he's only been in for a week, hasn't he? So when we say, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that," he's looking at it from fresh eyes. He's only just come in, but I do think you are right in what you're saying. We are missing key players, but we're carrying a few passengers like. I feel we've got certain players, and I don't want to dig players out like live, really, but I think you Ben Tollitz and Fondop, they play well for you 3 times a season. They'll have excellent games. Other than that, they average or they get bypassed in the game.
Yeah,
and I do think as well. I was having a conversation with my mate this morning over Instagram. If we'd have lost last night, but I'd have felt. There's not really a good way to lose, is there? But we was dominated last night. You can kind of forgive it after the run that we've been on. You can say, right, we've unbeaten in 8, we've gone there, we've lost, but we've given it a go. But the way how we lost was it was shambolic, really. And
well, if we'd matched them in terms of effort, and look, File played really well last night. He played some really good football, but we also made it really, really easy for him, and that's the problem. Adrian, what do you think Mickey Mellon? What does he do over the next? I mean, he's been in the game in charge for 2 games. Like, how does he approach it as a leader? Do you think in this situation?
Well, I think what Aaron said is very true. That that he's fresh eyes and and he doesn't really know these players. He hasn't seen these players. He seems to be. I mean, I had a mate of mine. I'm down in Shropshire. He managed Shrewsbury for a while, and he's got every confidence in him. I think you just got to give him some time. But I mean, it's blatantly obvious about the right back situation and the paucity in the midfield, really. So, what does he do? I suppose he's got to know the players. He seems quite a motivational kind of guy. So we can only hope, really. I mean, it's just disappointing. I mean, I didn't engage in the game last night, but it just sounds dreadful, and it's big step backwards, isn't it? It's always like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You just wonder why we do it sometimes, don't you?
It's my fault. It's my fault for saying that it was a banker on the pod on Saturday. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't really mean because there's no such thing with Latics, but yeah, I think that as far as sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think Andy called it out on Monday when he said, it's Oldham, we're playing the bottom team, we're going to get thumped. These things happen, you just got to stick with it. But all in all, I mean, it's an upward trajectory and trajectory. I think we just got to keep going, and I'm sure it'll come right. Let's see. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for your call, Adrian.
Cheers, mate.
Take care, mate. Excuse me. So, Aaron, in his earlier interviews before he managed the team on the pitch, Mellon was saying about what he expects from his players and how he will tell them what they need to be told about being good enough. So I presume that he's having some pretty awkward conversations pretty early on with his players after that performance last night.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. And I think as well, in some respects, because that performance has come quite early in his tenure as our manager, it could work out to be a blessing, really, in terms of he's had to go in there and he's had to tell a few home truths early on. If we'd have gone another 5 or 6 games, we'd have loved us to go another 5 or 6 games unbeaten. But your true test of character comes in more difficult times, doesn't it? So we've gone there away last night. We've got thumped 3-0. There's over 1,000 fans there, away fans. He looked a little bit embarrassed by that performance in the interview. So hopefully he's kind of gives them a kick up the arse and they're going to put in a result on Saturday, a good performance and get a decent result.
Yeah, it looked like a bunch of players. I mean, he's talked about the size of the club, and we are a massive club in this division. I mean, getting taunted by that small pocket of Fylde fans behind the goal last night was grim. It was like last couple of seasons ago at Forest Green when they were doing it to us. You're thinking, you're getting taunted by a village team here, and but we are where we are. And if the shoe was on the other foot, we'd be doing exactly the same. And so you've just got to take it on the chin. They did have a rather, I won't repeat the word that they used, but they had a rather amusing chat about James Norwood last night, which got a few giggles out of the home fans. But it was embarrassing. It really was. Like, I mean, they've got, the thing is, like, someone's put a load of money into Fylde. They got that that they got. It's fantastic. It's a great little ground for this level. It's just that they haven't got any fans to fill it, unfortunately for them. And tonight, last night, we turned up in our numbers. You never get the same atmosphere on a Tuesday night as you do on a Saturday, but it was like everything about it was there for our players. Good pitch, good stadium, big turnout from our fans. They should have just been, we're all over this. This is, they're bottom of the league. Because top teams,
put them in their place.
Exactly. Put them in their place. The facilities are good. It's not like they're going to some, even like Altrincham, which is, proper non-league. They went to a decent facility. So, top level players do not treat games against the bottom of the table any differently than they treat games against teams that are competing with them at the top of the table, because they know that if they do, they'll get turned over and they'll drop points. They'll come unstuck. And our lot last night, based on that performance, went there thinking that they were going to roll this lot over. And from the first minute, Fylde were all over us.
Well, my mate, through like the work that I do, I get to know people like here, there and everywhere. And he lives in Poulton, and he kind of follows Fylde a little bit. And he was texting me throughout the day. And he said, I'm going 4-1 Fylde. And I just laughed at him. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 500 to 1 on that. And then after 12 minutes, he texted me and said, "Is that still on?" I said, "No, mate." I said, "That bet's off now." I said, "You're going to do us here." But like, you are right. I think it was game over at that point when it reached 2-0. I had, based on how the first 15 minutes had gone, it was going to take a monumental change for us to get anything out of that game. And then Hogan got sent off, which I've seen a few people on Twitter saying it wanted sending off. I was watching on the stream, and it does look a bit of a 6-1 and there the other challenge, but he is holding him as well. Yeah. And I think Mellon said it in his interview. He's tried to disguise the hold, and it is a yellow card. And
their lad does swing an elbow, but if the referee and linesman don't see it, then unfortunately,
it was asking for trouble, like getting involved in it. And I mean, again, that means he's not going to be. It's a 1-game ban in it, 2 yellows. So he's not going to be available on Saturday, which hopefully Raglan can come in. Well, we're going to see a different centre-half partnership anyway, aren't we? So we'll see how that goes. But like I say, mate, I think it could, although it was shit last night, and I'd have been a lot more pissed off if I'd have made the trip over, and I believe there was trouble getting home on the motorways. it could turn out to be potentially a blessing in disguise.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's the truth, and it is where it is. That if that team's got that kind of performance in them, then it really needs to be addressed and dealt with. And you're always going to be shown up at some point. I mean, the game against Altrincham has got a few days with them on the training ground, and he can have a look at the teams that he's played so far and see what changes he thinks he can make in terms of what he's got available. And we just have to go again. We have to put it behind us, and we just have to say, right, it's important that we actually beat Altrincham at home for the first time, because we didn't manage that last season either, did we? So, I mean, look, it takes a long time to turn something like this around. It doesn't happen overnight. We're seeing that now. We're seeing that, we have to be patient. But we always say we can put up with losing if you lose the right way. As long as you've matched them and like against Kidderminster, we scrapped and battled for that win. And if it had been a draw, you'd have said, all right, but Kidderminster played well, but at least we had a goal. But last night there was just absolutely nothing. We had no chances at all, no shots.
No, we didn't look like scoring at any point. We was
really
toothless. Bad. But I think another plus thing about it, well, I say about it, not about the game in general, because it was shite and the performance was shite, but a plus thing that's supposed about this kind of league is, after that dreadful start that we had like a decent run in between, fair enough, but we're still within touching distance of the playoffs. We're not miles away, and it just summarises how shite the league is. If we can get on another little run, if we go 8 games unbeaten now, from the position we're in now, we'll be banging the playoffs. Yeah. So I think we will make the playoffs if we split that midfield up.
Yeah, I think we will as well. Make sure you just go and leave that in a brown envelope underneath Mickey Mellon's windscreen wiper on his car, and then we'll take it from there. Right, listen, thanks a lot for your call, mate. Really appreciate it. Top call, top stats. We'll see you soon. Cheers, man. Right, yeah, that was excellent. So please do that with the envelope, because he does need to know that. Although I'm sure he's got his own inclination now after last night. Let's bring the Ibster in. Hello, Ibby.
Hiya, Matt. You all right?
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm enjoying my holiday, but not the results from last night. It was appalling.
I know. It really was. It was terrible. But at least you didn't have to actually endure the performance, because as bad as the result was, the performance was even worse, let me assure you.
Yeah, I thought the Rochdale game was very interesting because I didn't manage to watch it at home. And it was full of dramas, and I thought that was a big win, and hopefully we will put that into our next game. But it cost us, and the team selection was bizarre, and I don't understand why Mr. Reeder's been left out of the squad. And also he needs these signings in, because if he doesn't get these signings in, what will happen is he probably will end up losing his job. And I'm not calling for his head at the moment, because it's too early.
Yeah. No, he's going to have to bring players in. There's no doubt about that. I mean, whoever was going to be the manager was going to have to bring players in. We've been over this. I think we all know as a fan base where our weaknesses are in the squad. But what good managers do is they get better performances out of players that are struggling, and that's what we need from Mickey Mellon now. He's got a bunch of players there that can perform on a given day. The only change he made last night to the team was bringing Shelton in from a game, but it obviously made a huge difference. Like I said already, I wasn't sure that tactically he really did anything that affected the game. He didn't do anything that affected the game tactically. We just continued to get walked all over for the full 90 minutes. So it was very disappointing, but I hope now that fans will give him some time and some patience, because clearly the issues that are at the club within the squad are a legacy of this transition period that we're in. You don't go from where we were last season to having a Notts County or a Wrexham or a Chesterfield quality side the season after. It just doesn't work that way. So we're in that transition. If we make it into the playoffs, which I still think we will because of the quality in the division, then it'll have been a good season, and who knows, we might make the playoffs. We might make a promotion and contention out of it. But then if you go up into League Two, again, you're miles off the pace in League Two, so it's going to take a bit of time. And we're as Oldham fans, we know that you don't just get the easy route. We're going to have to work at it.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, but last night and today, there's been a few tweets saying Mellon out, this and that. I thought to myself, it's well early. You need to support the players and the manager at the moment. And if results don't improve, then the board will have to make yet another decision. But let's hope it doesn't even come to that point.
Oh, I think that, there's probably quite a few of those tweets tongue in cheek. I think they're probably just having a laugh. If you seriously think that after 2 games, then how would you ever get anywhere in life without having any patience?
Yeah. I believe we will make the playoffs, but we can't afford to start losing games. And because when Steve Thompson was here, we were on a good run. Mellon's come in, he's taken 1 win. Second game was appalling, but we might have to forgive him for that if he changes things around in the right way. And he's experienced enough. He knows how to get out of this league. And we have to give him an opportunity. We can't yell at him or the players or start abusing players, because the players are one of our own.
I don't think it's good, especially at the game, to start shouting abuse at individual players. The team got booed off at half-time yesterday, and they can have no complaints because they were absolutely shocking. And I think as a collective, they like I said, they can have no complaints. You're right. Mickey Mellon's been in this position before. He has the experience, so he'll have seen all this before. He'll have taken control of teams that needed work. So I think there is that we can have some confidence that he will be able to do it. But what we have to accept is that it will take some time. Now, my hoped trajectory is that this season we will make the playoffs. We'll have a playoff campaign and we'll have an experience, and the experience will either be a positive one or it'll be a negative one. But whatever it is, it will be an experience that we can build on for next season. And then I think next season, with the investment that is likely to continue into the team, I think we'll mount a serious challenge for promotion next season, i.e., which means we'll be going for automatic promotion. We'll be in contention for automatic promotion.
Definitely, we Chesterfield will run away with this league now because they've done well. They keep winning every week in and out. They know how to do it. So.
They've had the experience, haven't they? They've had the experience, haven't they? They've had the disappointment of not going up in the playoffs, and that kind of stuff is what builds the character and what builds a team, builds desire. Disappointment fuels the need to succeed, and so we've just got to go through that the same way that they have. Notts County experienced it, Wrexham experienced it, Chesterfield experienced it, and then it drives the squad and the players and the club and everybody on to do better. So all we can hope for this season is that we make that push for the playoffs and that our players have that experience of being close but not close enough that drives them on to want to succeed. Plus, like we've already said, a good few numbers in terms of signings.
Yeah, definitely. How's David? I've just seen that he's in Turkey. I hope he's enjoying himself.
Oh, yeah, he's having the time of his life. I mean, we both needed a break, Ibi, you know what I mean? So I said to him, look, take the buy me a coffee money, go off to Turkey with your family, just get a bit of sun and get out of my face.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the World Cup cricket over here, enjoying every minute of it.
That's amazing. What a great experience. Have you been to some of the games, have you?
Yeah, I've been to a few games. I'm in Pune at the moment.
Right, fantastic. Right, well,
just enjoying it. The weather's okay, and atmosphere's good. It's one of in a lifetime having a World Cup in countries like this, because I don't think it will ever happen again.
Well, it's an amazing experience. I'm very jealous. I have been to India, and it's a fantastic country. So
yeah, thanks a lot, Matt, for having me on, and look after yourself.
You too. Safe travels, Ibi.
Bye-bye.
Take care, mate. Wow. Watching the World Cup I'm not been to cricket, but I'd certainly enjoy that experience, no doubt. I think that there's a guy here called Graham who we know, but who looks quite different. All right, Graham.
Hi.
It's you, Graham.
Yeah, I decided to go
naked. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Yeah. Did you just have enough of the beard? Was it enough, or did it fall off, or what?
No, I woke up the other morning. I thought, you know what? I can't be bothered with 7 years of growing it, and I just thought,
right.
You know, and I got one of the caves. Quite nice. Never had it before.
Yeah.
With a towel on it, but
well, it's nice. It's nice to see your face behind the beard. Yeah.
Huh.
So what a week at Latics, eh?
I have one criticism.
Go on.
Right. Even up here, I heard about the riots on the pitch. It even made our news.
Did it?
Yeah. It was a police statement. It was through BBC Scotland. The other one about they're tracking down in their work with the clubs to find the people responsible. But my view is like, if the police are outside, they should have been on every turnstile waiting for them to come out.
It's very disappointing that. That's the thing about the football club. Like even when I was in Ireland, you know, I was in Ireland when we beat Liverpool and played Everton in that FA Cup. And the news travels, and good news travels, and it can be a real. The club can be a real flagship for the town. But at the same time, the flip side of that is you can have the negative news travel as well, like this has, and it's reached Scotland and wherever else, and it brings everybody into a bad light, doesn't it? Unfortunately.
Yeah, because my boss was pointing to me. But the one thing I've got to say tonight was, see, when it comes to transfers in, I think we need to be patient. I don't think we should go out and buy stuff in right now, people in right now, because if they're free, they're obviously not good enough because they would have had a club.
I think we have to be. I do agree that we have to be cautious with who we bring in, because like last season we brought in players that were better than the players we had. There's no doubt about that, but aren't up to the. Or they're certainly not proving that they're up to the being a promotion challenging squad of players. So I think we do need to be careful not to make rash decisions and bring in players that are below the quality that we need to mount a serious challenge next season. But I think also the flip side of that is there is pressure from the fans for bringing players in to improve it. So that's got to be managed by the club.
Yeah, I would rather wait till after the transfer window, because one thing is, I mean, I'm not against us bringing in players, but like, and I'm not saying this out bad, but we're going to bring in another. Nothing against Gardner, but he came in and he was injury prone, and we had to wait a long time to see how good he was. And Dan Ward, he's been out for a while as well.
It's such a shame with Dan Gardner, because to have him in that team, I mean, that good run we went on involved him in the side, didn't it, in the midfield? And you know what? I keep forgetting about him. When we're talking about midfield, I was listing the midfield players before, and I forget that he's there because he's so inconsistent in terms of being able to play. And it's such a shame, but it is what it is.
I would rather wait and try and get somebody better than somebody. I'm not saying that they're bad, the players that are free right now. But the chances are, if we get players in, they're not going to be up to standard, because if they were good enough, they'd be in a team already.
The option we do have though in this league is, because I've seen in the comments people mentioning people like Nick Horton at Filed. There is the potential to go out and offer cash to players that are in this division to bring them to Oldham. The players that are fit, that are playing every week, that are performing, that would be an option, and that really is where you've got to try to take advantage of being the biggest club in the division and flexing it a little bit, really, and saying, look, come to us, we'll get into the playoffs, and you'll be playing for a bigger club in League Two next season or the season after. So I'd like to see us be ambitious in that respect. But I think you're right. Players that have not got clubs at the minute, it tends to be players that are coming back from injury or maybe have not got the best discipline and things like that. And that's not always a good starting point, is it?
I would love to have a punt on Norton at File. The midfielder.
What was that? Sorry,
Norton, the midfielder.
Oh yeah,
He looked really good, but then he's no disrespect to File. Is it how do you say it down there? We say File. How do you say it?
Filed.
Yeah, we say filed. Do you say as well?
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Right, because we say Bury, you say Bury.
Yeah. Bury. That's just an accent thing, though. That yeah.
But I like to look at him in the midfield. Norton, he looked really good. I mean, if you could get somebody like him up there, but then he might not be our standard. No disrespect to Filed, but the bottom of the league team, they've come up from. Is it North or South? Did they come up from North?
Yeah, from North. Yeah, National League North.
So I mean, he might be good enough, but then, like I say, I would love to see a revitalised Dan Gardner back. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's just not going to happen, is it? Unfortunately,
No,
he's not got the legs anymore. They keep breaking, not literally, thankfully. But
and my personal view is, I think Will Sutton could be the right back we need for one reason. See if we can get a defensive coach to come in and work with him every day that he's training.
I don't know. I like last night when we went 2 down. For me, we should have gone 3-5-2. We should have brought another striker on to play with James Norwood. We should have played the 3 centre halves, and Devon Green would have just had to run his socks off as at right wing back. But that would have been the best solution, I think. But yeah, I think we need a right back who can get up and overlap and get balls in. Whether that's as a wing back, I mean, that's the old right backs used to play like that all the time. That was an old fashioned right back. Always used to get up and support the winger, and but you know it's look. Mickey Mellon's got to figure out a way of playing that suits the players we've got, and then bring in players into that. So
what about Shelton? Play right back. Did Tino play right back first?
That's right. Yeah, I keep forgetting that he did. He played against who was it last? Was it Bromley last season towards the end of the season, and he did quite well actually. So I don't know. It's
building the same team. They say it doesn't work. What's to stop one in midfield, one in defence?
Well, it certainly can't be any worse than having them both in midfield. That is 100% true. So and also we've got Freeman as well. But
my brain hurts when I see that.
Let's see what.
The two of them in the same team together. When I see the team,
I know you're not the only one, mate. You're not the only one.
My man
right?
Goes, what's up with you? And I'm like, and I show him the team sheet. He goes, "Oh, it's a strong team." And I say, "They two, they say they kind of play together. It's the same kind of player."
I know. Well, I don't know. I mean, Sharon puts himself about a lot more than Shelton does, but Shelton looks like Shelton's the best thing. The one thing that Shelton's good at is laying off a throw-in back to the thrower. That's his best skill. And that's just not enough, unfortunately. So listen, Graham, we're going to move on. We've got someone called Reese who's here. It's just going to be the last caller before we knock it on the head. So thanks for getting in touch, mate, and we'll see you soon.
3 points on Saturday.
Come on, it's not in doubt, is it?
2-0.
I hope so. See you later, mate. Hello, Reese.
Hello.
You all right?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I just saw you on camera there, so I know you're a real person. You don't have to get your camera on now. How are you feeling this evening about Latics?
I mean, look, we played well against Rochdale, and I think I don't know what happened against Files. I couldn't be there at the game, but you know, seeing the scores flash up on my phone, it was like, what's going on? And I think there's some inconsistent players that I don't think deserve to play in the starting 11. And I think that, you know, they're just not good enough for where we want to be.
Do you think that's in terms of their talent and ability, or do you think it's in terms of their attitude?
I think more ability-wise, because I think some inconsistency in ability is more, because I don't think it's the mentality, because I think they've all got the right mentality, but some players are just really inconsistent.
Where does inconsistency come from, though? Does it come from? I mean, you know, we've all played. We haven't all played football, but those of us who have played football can remember games where you go out there feeling great and you think that you're going to have a great game and you just have a terrible game, and then you can feel you go out sometimes maybe not feeling your best, and then you have a really good game. So it's a really difficult one to pin down, isn't it, in terms of like what makes a footballer consistent.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, there's players where they'll have four games of playing well, and you know, the next game they're not switched on, I don't think, and it starts to create chances that for the other team where they shouldn't in other games where we've shut them down really well. And going off Sutton in recent games, I think Sutton's played well for the past couple of games, but then he'll go and have an inconsistent run where he's not the best of players in that position. And I think Shelton's another player where he's the same. We made that harrowing mistake against Fylde last night, and I think sometimes the players they'll have great games and then they'll go and have runs of 3 games, 4 games where they're just not playing well.
I think as well you have to remember it's a team game. It's confidence in each other, each other's ability. And knowing that like if somebody in your team makes a mistake, that it's not going to knock them, that they're going to stay focused, that they're going to get back on it, that you've got to have confidence in each other. And I don't think that as a squad and as a team yet we've fully got that confidence in each other. And I think that a lot of that this season, it maybe boils down to the inconsistencies in the back room, issues with the manager and whatever was going on with Unsworth and all that kind of stuff. So we're in some ways we're back to square one, which is that we desperately need consistency at the club. We need stability at the club. If you're talking about consistency and inconsistency and its effects, well, one of the major ones that we're seeing is this lack of stability and consistency behind the scenes at the club. So that's why more than ever we need this appointment of Mickey Mellon to work, and we need it to work over the next few years, and we need to see that there's progress bit by bit rather than all at once, which is obviously what some of us want, but we're not going to get. So we have to expect to see that Mickey Mellon gets more out of these players before the end of the season, and that next season we start the season significantly better than we started this season, which obviously is something that has really got a lot of us down, because we started this season worse than we ended last season, and it's taken the wind out of our sails, hasn't it, Reece?
Definitely. I think Unsworth, when we had him, I think it set us back a year. I think, even going off what's happened, he's come out and said that he didn't study the tactics and then the way the other teams played, and I think that's definitely set us back a good while. And I think the appointment of Mickey Mellon's great. I think talking about stability, like other people have said, he's got knowledge about this league and he can get us out of this league, and I think it's definitely the right appointment. And I don't believe that this season, I think we'll finish in playoffs, but I don't think we'll go up. I think next season is definitely the season where we go for it. But this season, I think, like you say, is talking about stability, trying to get the team trusting each other, and I think Mellon is the right person to do that.
I think when we were having the conversations and the debates about who was going to take over, should we go with Thompson and Redfern, one of the main concerns about bringing another manager in, like we have, was the fact that it's going to turn things around and on its head again, and the manager now is going to have a different set of expectations, different ways of doing things than Thompson and Redfern had, and that it might set us back a little bit in the immediate short term while the players get used to that. And we might just have to accept that the results, go bad again for a week or two after the good run that we've been on. But we have to hopefully see the benefits of this change and bringing Mellon in after that as we start to pick up again. I feel like it's going to be a topsy-turvy season still. But there seems to be quite a bit of confidence that we will still finish in the playoffs. Where does that confidence in you come from, Reece?
I think the amount, the quality of some players we've got, like Norwood's fantastic. I think we've got Lundstrom, who's a very good player. Hogan, Hobson's brilliant. We've got great talent in the squad and great ability, but I think that could push us on. And like you said about the new manager, I think it's a process, because, like you said, signing a new manager it's all about learning how they want to play and the team understanding that and slowly building their way towards how the manager wants to play. And I think definitely there'll be games where it won't go right in the short term, but we've got to look at the long term. And I think we did the same with Unsworth, give him a 3-year contract in the hopes that, building a team that he wanted and would work out, but sadly it didn't. Other than that, I think Mellon, with his process, hopefully should go in the right way.
Football managers and players are always telling you that they only look as far ahead as the next game. So the next game on Saturday at home to Altrincham, what would you do to try and get the win in terms of the formation and the personnel that was different to the game on Tuesday?
I don't think there's much wrong. I'd change a couple of players. I don't think Sutton, as much as I like Sutton because he's come through the youth, he's not good enough for me. But then again, we've got no cover because I don't know where Freeman's gone. Hogan's out again, so you'd have to play Hobson and Raglan. So there's a lot of change, I think, that has to happen. Shelton doesn't get in. I think Maguire, if he's fit, plays. If Dan Gardner's fit, he gets a shout.
What about up front with Norwood, or do you go with? I mean, that lone striker does. What do you do up there?
I think we've got it right with Norwood up front, but the delivery and the service that Norwood requires is difficult for some players that we've got in the squad to give to him. So I think going with one striker is probably a good shout, but the players have to step up and deliver what Norwood needs to provide the goals.
Well, definitely. Right, let's finish with a prediction. What do you reckon the score will be?
I think 3-2 Oldham.
Well, it sounds like an entertaining game. I'll take it. Thanks for your call, Reese. Appreciate it, mate. Good call, mate. Thanks very much.
Nice one.
Right, okay, that's it. So next week, Sexy Dave will be back from his jollies. Just if you want to buy a ticket for our Christmas do, which is on the 22nd of December, you can do the 20 quid, and that includes pie supper and lots and lots and lots of entertainment, which is yet to be planned. But you can go to afcpodcast.co.uk/shop if you want to buy one of those tickets. Please get them early because I'm sure they'll sell out like they did last time. And we will be back on Monday morning for the pod at 6 o'clock to talk about the outcome of the Altrincham game, whatever that may be. Thanks to all the callers. Thanks for everybody who's watched. And we'll see you on Monday. See you later. Thank you for listening to the Boundary Park Alert System, a QPod production hosted and produced weekly by Matt Dean, Andy Halliwell and Dave Bradley. QPod is Oldham's only dedicated podcast production company, and if you'd like to learn more about how podcasting can help take your brand to the next level, visit kupod.co.uk. A huge thank you goes to all those people who subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. We really appreciate you all. Please visit oafcpodcast.co.uk and click Be a Supporter or find the link in the show notes if you'd like to help us fund the show. It's only $2.99 per month to subscribe, but if you'd rather make a one-off donation, please visit buymeacoffee.com/OAFC podcast or click the link on our website. Don't miss the Latics football phone-in every Wednesday live from 8:30 p.m. Please visit youtube.com/@OAFC podcast and do hit subscribe while you are there. You can also follow and interact with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok @OAFC podcast. Big thanks go to Eileen Finnegan for writing our excellent weekly blog, which we encourage you to read on our website every Saturday morning, and also to Paul Prendergast for providing us with all the Latics Mind questions. The title music for the show is by Manchester DJ and producer Starion, and for more information visit bandcamp.com/Red Laser Records. If you'd like to be a guest or contribute to the show, we would love to hear from you. Until then, see you next time.